Will now be recorded.
Joe, the floor is yours.
Okay. Again, good evening. I call the April 6, 2021 regular virtual meeting of the Economic Development Commission to order at 6:37. My name is Joe Mira, Chair of the EDC, and I will now give a brief introduction to those who are new to the go-to-meeting format. Members of the public, if you're joining the meeting by computer, tablet, or smartphone, please enter your name below the camera. Also, please keep your camera inactive and your microphone mute during the meeting unless you're speaking. Since the system does not do well with multiple speakers and the audio from only one person will be recorded, only one speaker will be recognized at a time. If people do not participate respectfully, I will be forced to mute all so that the person who has the floor can be heard. If you are participating by computer, tablet, or smartphone and want to ask a question or make a comment, please indicate this by typing in the chat bar and you will be called upon in the order received. When you are called on, please unmute your microphone, activate your camera, introduce yourself, your name and address, ask your question, or make your comment. If you are participating by telephone, please introduce yourself, your name, address, ask your question, or make your comment. Anyone who refuses to give your name and address, or if someone is not respectful to this commission, you will be disconnected and blocked from the meeting. We will now begin the meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
justice. Thank you. Thank you and welcome. First, I'd like to introduce Stacy to everyone if you haven't met her. Stacy, if you give everybody a wave.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you. As you know, we have Dr. Menzo, Superintendent of Schools, with us tonight. He's going to give us an update on the many activities the school system's involved with, interfacing with the business community. You're all familiar with the outstanding work the school has done with the UpCap and pipeline programs. I don't know how many are familiar with all the other programs that goes on within the buildings, and that's one of the reasons we invited Dr. Menzo today. So Sal, it's your floor.
Thank you very much. I really appreciated the opportunity to be invited this evening. There's so much that is going on in our school district, and unfortunately, there's just not always the opportunity to share it with people. We do provide a variety of documents that go out to the community, but we know that you're inundated with so many pieces of information that we don't expect everybody to be as up to date as, of course, we are in the district, living it and really enjoying it every day. Just as a recap, just for those who might be new to our school district is we approximately have about 5,500 students. Our population hasn't really decreased significantly. Actually, it's kind of going up a little bit, not markedly, but it's maintaining that 5,500 mark or so. We have 4 pre-K 2 schools in our district, and then 4 3-5 schools. The preschool programming in our district, that's one of the things, while it doesn't have to directly deal with business, we have expanded preschool over the last 5 years significantly. We have received what's called a Smart Start grant that funds 2 of our classrooms, 4 of our classrooms by the federal government, and we've been very, very fortunate. But we've expanded, and actually during my course of 12 years in the district, we've more than doubled our preschool spaces. So we are able to offer over 200 spaces to preschool students in our district, which is phenomenal. When I arrived, it was very minimal, and now we're able to offer that both. Right now, we're looking at mostly full day opportunities because that is really what our families are looking for. Our 3-5 schools, again, are sister schools to our pre-K 2 schools, and then we have our 2 middle schools and our 2 high schools. The key thing is that in Wallingford, we have some very unique programming. especially at our high school level. As many of you know, Lyman Hall High School has an incredible ag science program. Our ag science program is nationally recognized. We have students who have been recognized nationally for the FFA, and also just in terms of the state-of-the-art programming in the center. In the program, we have small animals, large animals. We also have food science. We have farming engineering. We also have horticulture, and we have aquaculture. And our aquaculture program came to us now, it's going on about 10 years, where we actually grow salmon, tilapia, and catfish. And it has just really expanded our services for our students. The ag science students really have been somewhat of a role model for the district. One of the key things that the district has continued to increase is our opportunities for students to expand their horizons through capstone projects, as well as internship, mentorships, and job shadowing. Next year, we have over 400 students who will be doing capstone projects. And that is just a remarkable opportunity for our students. And when we talk about capstone, it's something that they have to do prior to their graduation. And in that capstone project, there is the opportunity for significant community and business partnership. And that's really what Wallingford Public Schools has based itself on, is our community, business, and education partnership. As Joe mentioned earlier, we have our programming with Hubcap, which has been our pipeline programming, but also Hubcap stands for the Hub of Capital Improvement and Capstone Projects. So that's why I brought up the Capstone Project. We now have 400 students who will be embarking upon this journey. Within their capstone projects, they're given a variety of unique opportunities to receive other credentials from the state of Connecticut. Wallingford has been fortunate to be the leader in the area of diversity and looking at students getting an opportunity to get recognition for our diversity. So our students, many of our students who are doing their capstone projects also are eligible for the Seal of Biliteracy, which is a phenomenal opportunity for our students to demonstrate their native language or acquired second or third language. In addition to the seal or the certificate of global engagement. That is of particular excitement and of interest to me and proud point, because I am the head of the International Education Committee for the state of Connecticut for superintendents. And we've shepherded this project through the State Board of Education. And we've had numerous students over the last 3 years receive this certificate. And this requires students to not only demonstrate a second language, but also more importantly, exemplify and demonstrate a global mindset. And in doing so, they have to do a community action project, which requires the students to explore their impact on the global world. So it could be working directly with another country, or it could be working within our own state, town, or across the country. So we're very excited about those projects. In addition, at the high school level, at Sheehan High School, many of you know that we do have a certified nursing assistant program, but that program has really been expanded. When I first arrived 12 years ago, we had 1 teacher. Now we're up to 3 teachers. And the program now has medical terminology included into it, which is this ECE course, an early college entry course for the UConn credits, as well as we have a state-of-the-art facility that was funded through donations from Office Depot, as well as Masonic and Gaylord Hospital. So we've been very fortunate to create a 5-bed hospital scenario with anatomically and ethnically correct dummies that the students are able to work on, as well as a nursing station. And again, it has 3 classrooms now. So we've been able to expand that at Sheehan. Students from Lyman Hall and Sheehan go over there for that programming. And then they do their clinical experiences at Gaylord as well as at Masonic. So we're very excited that we graduate anywhere from 30 to 40 students a year through that program. And that is incredibly, an incredible opportunity, because those are real world skills that students could leverage upon graduation. So the idea is that not only can the students get a job as a CNA, but in many instances, our students in the nursing program or the certified nursing program and medical careers cluster, they go on to university to go into other areas like medical assistant or doctor or an RN, APRN. And part of their responsibility in college is to come with experience or have to get their certified nursing experience during university experience. And our students already have a leg up. They already have those credits, so they don't have to add additional coursework during their time at university level. So we're very excited. And also it helps some students who decide that, you know, this isn't for me. I'm not into the medical field. I like science, but I'm not patient facing. I'm more of a person who's going to work in a lab, or I'm going to be not direct contact with the patients. So that's just as valuable for our students, is to learn what they do feel comfortable with versus what they don't. This is the time for them to test that experience. And we usually have 100% testing rate in terms of students that pass the exam and receive their PIN. The other element that we're really proud of in terms of a pathway that we've expanded is our advanced manufacturing pathway. This has emerged over the last 5 years through collaboration and the support of Joe Mira and others, but really working with local businesses to have them create the curriculum for this class. We really want our students to be educated in a way that's going to make them ready for the workforce. Not necessarily does it have to happen upon graduation at 12th grade, but whenever they choose to go into the workforce for a career. This is not about job development, this is about career development. So we actually have been highlighted on many different levels through the state. Ari Santiago has a Made in America podcast that I've been on a few times. We've received recognition. I'll be doing a presentation on April 22nd for Reed, Connecticut, looking at how literacy skills are necessary for the workforce, especially in advanced manufacturing. And I think that what makes our program, again, unique is that we're not outsourcing our program to a community college or to another group. We have worked with local business to develop a curriculum, and then we've partnered with Goodwin University in East Hartford to actually train our teachers to become the educators. Rather than having our students go to a site or be taught by others, we are growing our own professionals in Wallingford, and they're very excited. Through a grant that we received, we purchased 3 Haas mini mills. So we have CNC mini mills in Lyman Hall, and then we have a tabletop version that is going to be going into the Sheehan that we just received another grant for. So the students are doing the hands-on work that they experience. They're also receiving dual enrollment credit for community college. So they can leave over the next 3 years, students will be able to leave with up to 15 credits towards their undergraduate degree. Again, that positions them well for either going right on to the world of work or potentially going into the world of business. We do have students through the Hubcap pipeline program that have graduated and successfully acquired positions within local businesses. And the businesses then have taken on the responsibility of paying for their college tuition. We also received word just today from Haas that we received a grant to offer scholarships for our students in our pre-engineering advanced manufacturing program. So we're very excited that we received that. So our students will be the direct recipients of some scholarship funds for those students who are going on to post-high school experience. So advanced manufacturing has really grown. We are in the process of finalizing some other grant opportunities through Workforce Alliance in New Haven. And again, our staff, what's different about our program is our staff are the ones who are teaching the program. We're not outsourcing that. And that really makes a big difference, as you can imagine. And we're not busing our students to other sites. They're taking this in their own school. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up our Culinary Arts program, which some of you have benefited from. Some of you need to benefit when it reopens. But we have a wonderful Culinary Arts program at Lyman Hall and an emerging Culinary Arts program at Sheehan High School. We recently, over the last 3 years, have hired a new person at Sheehan who's done a remarkable job developing a very strong program there. Lyman Hall does have the Cook's Table, which was substantially assisted many years ago by the Wallingford Education Foundation to open. And since then, we've also opened a bakery, and we also have a food truck that was purchased through a grant, which some of you might have seen the food truck at local events. Those programming opportunities for students have really transformed what we do then at the middle school. So we've been really looking backwards as to how do we need to bolster our middle school curriculum to make certain that our students are best prepared for high school. So we're very fortunate that we have been able to do some significant curriculum work at the middle school level, which has allowed us to create those connections. In addition, through our Center of Innovation and Design, which some of you hopefully have heard about, which is our Mission to Mars, our partnership with Melbourne, Australia, we are working at Mary G. Fritz Elementary School to transform 2 floors of the space into an international space station. Last October of 2019, in October, we did a soft launch of the first floor of the space. The space is created for students in kindergarten through 12th grade. The first floor concentrates predominantly on the elementary middle school students. And then the lower level, which we're in the process of building right now, is actually creating the surface of Mars. The students will dress as astronauts. They will be landing on Mars, while the other half of their class will be in mission control, giving them directions as to what they need to do while they are on Mars. There's also a high-tech lab, science lab in the lower level, which the students will then take the samples that they collect while on Mars and analyze with their colleagues back on Earth. So the environment is a one of a kind in the United States. It only exists in Melbourne, Australia, and in Adelaide, Australia. We are fortunate enough to have a partnership with this program through the US Department of Commerce. And we are fortunate to bring 8 of our young female aspiring STEM students to Australia in the summer of 2019, where they spent 2 weeks exploring not only the center, but also going to Swinburne University to explore the Factory of the Future, which deals with advanced manufacturing. And then at the University of Sydney, they got to explore field robotics and have an experience with a world-renowned professor on field robotics and how they're using it for a range of uses, from agriculture to actual medicine. So those young ladies, 3 of them came back. Well, they all came back, thank goodness. All 8 of them came back. But 3 of them came back and wanted to continue to pursue work with the Science Center. And they actually, for their capstone project and global certificate of global engagement, developed K2 curriculum for the Science Center that'll be shared with Australia. We received the curriculum 3 through 12 from Australia, and our students are sending over the K2 curriculum. So it's very exciting. I just had an actual update call with our partners from Australia last Monday night, and they're very excited that we're moving forward, and hopefully there'll be an opportunity for their students to come over. They were supposed to come over last March, but unfortunately we all know what happened then. So we had to cancel that trip, and we were actually going to be taking them to Pratt Whitney, and also to the Lee Company along the shoreline, a large manufacturing site. So the Center for Innovation of Design really kind of sums up everything that we're doing in our district, because at the core of the center, which is not part of the center in Australia, but we're working on that with them to help them, is that when the students come to the center, they are going to learn about the activities that they're going to experience that day, but they're going to learn about them in the context of how do the skills and knowledge they're going to learn in the center relate to careers in the community in Wallingford. So how does an experience with a droid or a Sphero, computing and programming a device, coding a device, how does that relate to the many, many fields and many, many businesses in Wallingford? So what we've done is we've reached out to local businesses and are getting video footage of people at businesses like Allnex, like Ulbrich, Hobson Motzler, other businesses, and having their staff interviewed to explain the connections, so that there'll be videos for pre-K2 or K2, 3-5, middle school and high school, so it's developmentally appropriate. So when the students come in, one of the learning centers will be this corridor, which we're working with a company who's hopefully going to be making a sizable donation to the center, to create a video wall, a 6x10 video wall that the students will be able to interact with to actually learn about the careers. And that's really kind of, again, at the core of what we're trying to do. We're trying to make certain that our district positions our students for the best opportunities for their future. We want to make sure their diploma has a currency exchange rate that is very high. We want them to be, as I say jokingly and seriously, the American going to Canada and not the Canadian coming to America. We want to make sure that their diploma has and is able to offer them the best value that they could possibly have. And we're seeing that. And as a result, we see us as a good partnership and a good partner with local business. We are trying to offer as much as we can to local business so they feel attracted to Wallingford, not just because of the electric company and water and sewer, but because of the quality of student that we can provide them as a future layer of employee in their companies. I'm very involved at the state level in local business groups, be it the CMC or the New Haven Manufacturers Association, as well as working with AMC, which is the aerospace group. And what I see and hear time and time again, obviously, is that there's such a deficit in the area of highly qualified professionals to go into positions in our state. And there's obviously a concern that we're going to lose large businesses to other states. And we have no reason to do that. And we certainly have every concern and every responsibility to do what we can. And that's what we're trying to do in our district. So as the years progress, we continue to have plans put in place. We've retransformed our whole curriculum guide. We are, as I said, really transforming our middle school programming, moving that forward in a creative way. And we're trying to also, along the way, not just educate the students, but also educate their parents. Educate their parents, as well as our school counselors, as well as our teachers. Because sometimes there is a concern that if a student doesn't go to college or university immediately upon graduating high school, that they've somehow not been successful and that the system has not been successful. When in reality, in some instances, they've been more successful by having a student go into the world of work and the world with a career. So we're really trying to work in that direction. And so there are so many other things I could talk about, but I want to be conscious of your time, and I'll stop there. And I know Joe wanted me to stop anyway. I could read it. So I'll stop right there.
Thank you, Sal. I appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions, please?
Yeah, Joe, I do. I don't have a question, but I'd like to thank Sal because you make it a little easier when the economic development presents its portfolio to an incoming business. It really helps to have a real strong educational department. So I'd like to say thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Joe, may I just add something quickly?
Go ahead, Ed.
So I just want to say publicly, I know Dr. Menzel and I speak frequently, and he knows how much I appreciate his level of engagement with the business community. It's critically important, and businesses are impressed and appreciative that the Board of Education is not just educating students, per curriculum guides. I don't want to botch this up, Sal, but he's educating people for career opportunities, and he takes the time and has staff involved. There were a number of his staff members as well. They take the time to understand where the opportunities are and try to make sure that kids are aware of them. He's not steering anybody. He's educating them so that they can make good, solid choices. And, Jim, to your point, that's a great relationship and a great partnership that we have with the Board of Education and they have with us. I think it's a great synergy. And I don't think it's that common. So I just wanted to publicly say thank you to Dr. Menzo for all of his continued efforts in that area.
Thank you.
Hank, did you have something to say?
I've spent many years on the Wallingford Education Foundation, and I prided myself on keeping tabs on what's going on, but I've failed miserably based on what Dr. Menzo has just provided us. And kudos to you and everybody that's been working so hard with that. And I echo Tim in saying, the partnership that we share there between the commission and education is so vitally important when it comes to just making Wallingford such a a destination place for families to come and the partnership between the manufacturing and stuff. So, really kudos to you, Dr. Menzo. I really thought that I was up to speed with what you're doing there, but man, oh man, was I wrong. So congratulations on all the wonderful things that you're doing. Well, I took copious notes here and my hand got too tired.
Well, again, I appreciate that. It's a team effort, though. As Tim said, I'm very fortunate that along the way, the Board of Education has recognized that this is a focus area of our strategic plan, which I'm proud that we still have up and running and breathing and living every year. And as a result, I have a great team, and the team really puts this together and moves it forward. And the other side of the equation has to be the businesses willing to extend their hand to us. And we aren't short on that at all. We have businesses that are constantly reaching out and willing to be partners. I just have to say that the Center for Innovation and Design, without the help of the Quinnipiac Chamber, as well as local businesses and universities, the money is coming from them to do this center. And it's been a heavy lift, and we're very fortunate that we have such committed people in our community. And I think what helps us is that we have a track record of actually producing and not just talking about it. We don't admire the problem, come up with a solution, and then let it fade away. We actually sustain the solution and actually grow it. And I think that's inspiring to a lot of people, because oftentimes when you get involved with organizations, it's a matter of a 6-month turnaround and then it dies. If anything, we're kind of like a family, I will say, not maybe an Italian one, where once you're in, you're hard to get out. So therefore, we keep everybody informed. But I don't do this alone. It'd be really arrogant and inappropriate for me to think that or anybody to think that I do this alone. I have a wonderful team and a very, very supportive Board of Education. And most importantly, the best students in the world.
Well, we thank you, Sal. We thank you for all you do, I should say. And I really appreciate you coming tonight, because it's important for the commissioners to understand what's going on in the school system. As they said earlier, it's really a leg up when we talk to the businesses. And it's definitely another plus, if you will, when we're trying to recruit new businesses to town. So I thank you. I know you have another meeting, and I
Yes.
appreciate you taking the time to come out.
Thank you very much, and let me know how I could help you in the future if there's anything I can do. Stay well and stay safe, everybody. Good
Thank you,
night.
Thank you, sir. Have
Bye.
a nice night. Bye. Stacy, did you get all that?
I think I got it.
I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your first meeting to bring us, but it had to be said. Hang in
Yes,
there.
no.
The
We're
meetings are
good.
not normally not like that. Okay. So we did the pledge. Sal, any motion on the minutes? Did I hear a
Joe,
motion?
excuse me, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented, and with one minor correction in Tim's notes. He spelt Lynn Wolf wrong.
Okay, that was Jim Wolf saying that if we can identify ourselves for the first few meetings, so Stacy knows who's talking, that would be a big help. I imagine.
And this is Mark.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Mark seconds it. Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, we have it. It's unanimous. It moves. Thank you.
Hey, Joe, before you go any further, in your introduction, you had mentioned that it's on the recording, it's the April 6th meeting. In reality, it's the April 5th meeting. So just so you know that.
Thank you. I'm pushing my dates. I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Mark. Any input on the financials? The expense report? Hearing none, we'll move on.
Joe, I have a question.
Sure.
In the Tim's report, there was talk about potentially utilizing some funds from EDC budget for the outside, the partitions, cement blocks there for the, where were you planning on taking that from, Tim?
That's actually item 8 on the agenda, Hank.
Oh, okay. I'll wait then.
If you're okay with that, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It always pays to have a finance man on the panel. Thank you. We will get to that. Committee reports, marketing.
This is Mark, Stacy. We're at a meeting on 2 weeks ago, Monday, March the 22nd. And the usual cast of characters were there as far as the commission is concerned. And Jim Wolf gratefully joined in with us on that meeting too. So that was always good to see, and I appreciate that. We went over on a higher level the initiatives that we're working with as far as LinkedIn is concerned, Instagram, our email marketing, just on a high level, where are we at? Where are we going with it? That type of situation. We found that after our initial thrust to go to the colleges for recruitment, it was kind of light this last month. We didn't get really much response, so we're going to try to address that and try to figure out how we can get the colleges more involved in what we're doing. We spent a good bit of our time on how we can figure out our successes. What are the parameters that we can look at from all of this that we're doing to discuss how we'll become successful, or are we successful with what we're doing? So there was a good bit of discussion on that. And then we did a final talk in some length on Facebook, because that's really the last initiative that we should be doing, and really haven't gotten into to any great extent as of yet. We recognize we have to do it and we should do it, but we want to know to what extent we have to dip our toes in the water before we actually do it. So that there was a fair amount of discussion regarding that, and more to come as we make decisions. And the final part of the meeting was that we wanted to get the students and the committee and the commission in front of the council to bring them up to date of where we stand. So that has to be decided upon as far as the date is concerned. I know Tim had some dates that he was looking at. We wanted to try to do it sooner than later. And as soon as we have that set, we'll let you know. If any of the other committee members have anything they would like to add to this, please do. But as far as I'm concerned, I think that's basically what our report is.
Yeah, Mark, I'd like to just chime in. I was really impressed with the students. They did a wonderful job. And a lot of what they brought up was way beyond my technology. But it was fascinating to see how they all coordinated and really chimed together. And it was well done. And you guys, you and Tim, you did a nice job putting this together. Really nice.
Well, I appreciate the comment. To any of the members that aren't on the committee, just as Jim had done, our next meeting is going to be April the 12th at 8 in the morning. We can get you that information, and if you want to join in to listen and certainly participate, you're more than welcome to do that. The more the merrier as far as we're concerned. That's my report, Joe.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And thank you, Jim, for your words. And Jim, the planning and zoning, do you have anything to bring us up to date?
No, everything is pretty much in limbo, as Tim pointed out in his report. I mean, there's a few things going on with Research Parkway, but nothing is. I haven't seen anything move unless you wanted to add something, Tim.
No, nothing to add at this point, Jim.
Hank, do you have anything to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Then that concludes, Jim. All right, thank you, Jim.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. I had to find the button.
Okay, retention, Gary?
Yeah, Joe, Gary Papiano. Not much to report. Not that much too different than what planning and zoning was saying. We didn't have anything going on. We didn't have a meeting last month. We did talk about in the previous meeting, and I think we'll probably take Mark's comment with regard to the April 12th marketing meeting, maybe sitting in on that. We talked with Tim about, me and Rosemary, about sharing along with Anthony, the direction that's going on in marketing, some of the things that could help on the retention side. I would agree. I sat in on the previous meeting, not the last one, and the presentations were fantastic from the students. Everything was first class, and we probably could gain some real opportunities to get some ideas for the retention and incentives committee. So that's our intention. I haven't nailed down a date for April for our next meeting, but I'll probably ask the rest of the team members if we can. I know I can at least participate in the April 12th meeting with marketing. If anybody else wants to sit in on it, that's fine.
Anyone else? Okay, Gary, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, appreciate it. Staff report, Tim?
Very good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I'm just going to go through a couple of excerpts from my written report. I know you all have, but I just want to highlight the fact that, the bids have been open for the Simpson Court, the parking lot behind Simpson Court. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, between, Simpson Court buildings and the Holy Trinity School. So it's been a long haul. Many of us have been at this for years, and it's going to happen. So the RP was sent out. The bids have been opened. They're in the process of assigning the job, and by late spring, early summer, we will have a new improved parking lot behind the Simpson Court buildings. At the same time, so that parking lot is being outsourced, that work. Our Public Works Department is going to be doing the 2 parking lots on Wallace Avenue. So we're keeping that in-house, and that should be completed no later than the end of the summer. So anyway, it's almost like I want to just take a deep breath, and there's a lot of people on this group that have worked diligently on this for years. We're almost home, folks. Almost there. I'm getting these parking lots nice and spiffed up. So and I can see Kathy Lilly there, and it puts a smile on her face as well. She's worked really very diligent in her short tenure here to be a champion for these lots. So we're looking forward to the completion. I will also say, while I'm talking about parking lots, the old Brothers parking lot in the corner of North Cherry and Hall Avenue, we are just waiting for the steep grant that we received from the state of Connecticut. We're waiting for what they call the execution agreement that basically says, okay, we're going to send you the money. So before we get something that says they're going to send us the money, nothing happens. But they're hoping to, they're poised to get that going as soon as the execution agreement is received. The fourth bullet of my report, I just want to spend a minute on. Everybody, I think, has been following the news, and that you're aware of the $1.1 trillion stimulus plan that was passed by Congress and sent at the national level and signed by our president. And part of that is called the American Rescue Plan. And so states will receive money, but towns and communities will receive money as well. And rough calculations at this point, Wallingford is scheduled to receive a little over $4 million, about $4.4 million from this American Rescue Plan. So in the document, and this is still being formulated, so I'm just giving you this as an FYI. Chances are something's going to change before the final renditions come out, but just so that we're all on the same page at this particular point in time. The way that, so how can the town of Wallingford use the money becomes the question. All right, so I'm just going to read something real briefly, and one of it says that we can respond to public health emergencies with respect to COVID-19 or its negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, which really is not within our purview, small businesses, which is, nonprofits, potentially is, or aid to impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality, all fit within our purview. So what the mayor and other mayors, first selectmen, et cetera, around the state of Connecticut are basically, in their conversations, are saying, who within your town governmental organization is going to handle the qualification process, the application process, who's going to vet the applications, who's going to hand out the money, who's going to keep track. So that is a work in progress. But the mayor has asked that our commission and this office engage that task. So we may take it on in total. We may take a piece on our economic development listserv, which is a group of economic developers from around the state of Connecticut. I have put that question out as to what are you folks doing? And I will say that it is evolving as we speak. This is not something that we're going to get a check in the mail in a couple of weeks. This is going to be months, but just giving you a heads up that we may find ourselves at some point working to take and come up with some criteria by which to disseminate the money. I do feel strongly and have made the mayor aware that with 169 towns in the state of Connecticut, we should not be doing this 169 different ways. I mean, there needs to be some synergistic approach to how this is done, or else you're potentially going to get, even neighboring towns who could say, well, Wallingford did it this way, but Merion's doing it this way. But North Haven did. I like the way North Haven did it rather than the way Wallingford did. It could get pretty convoluted pretty quick. So there's some heavy lifting in front of us on this, but this is just an FYI at this particular juncture. So I just wanted to take a minute and speak about that. I also just want to, remind everybody that Amazon, through Montante Construction is in front of wetlands on Wednesday night this week. So I will be attending that meeting. It's a virtual, just to see how that application goes. And I'd welcome any other members of the P&Z Liaison Committee. But Joe, Jim, Hank, it's up to you guys as to whether you want to join me in that. I also want to just talk about the outdoor dining. We spent a fair amount of time discussing and making sure that we can pave the road for outdoor dining because it was such a success story last year. And lo and behold, as I give Councilor Chris Shortell all the credit. I mean, he started an initiative last October. He's followed it through. He's worked diligently on it to make sure that the conversation does not, does not disappear, but make every effort so that we can continue the outdoor dining experience as we did experience last year. As we all know that it was the executive order, governor's executive order that enabled outdoor dining in the first place. Most all of the outdoor dining that took place last year was against local zoning regulations, but it was the executive order that came from Hartford that made it okay to do. So what the state has done while we were working on local regulatory amendments to make sure that it could still happen, the state has extended it to March of 2022. So we have another year. So with a couple of minor changes and tweaks, but the bottom line is what we saw in outdoor dining last year, the state is now saying that we can enable that and allow that to happen again this year. So you probably won't see any significant local changes because the state has basically done the work. I don't want to say for us, but nonetheless, it's by executive order, it is allowed. So I want to make the distinction between outdoor dining at, Michael's or Archie's or Colony Diner or Wooden Tap versus outdoor dining in Simpson Court. Simpson Court is town-owned public property. All of those other venues are private property. So the allowing outdoor dining in Simpson Court does not fall under the executive order, but that falls under the purview of the mayor or the town council to either allow or disallow that. And so now that initiative has been taken on by Kathy Lilly of WCI. Kathy is on the call. Kathy visited every business in Simpson Court. And don't forget, there are people on the second floors of these businesses as well, not just the street level, but to garner support for the cordoning off of 8 parking spaces, as you witnessed last year. And as it was last year, the mayor was only willing to entertain it if all the tenants in Simpson Court were agreeable. And thanks to Kathy and her shoe leather, going out and meeting everybody and discussing it. We got unanimous consensus, so that is in the process of happening. Now, Hank, to your earlier question, and Joe, since we're on the subject, I wanted to make sure it was a separate item on the agenda in terms of potential funding. But I'm just going to jump to it now, if it's okay, because the barriers that go out into Simpson Court, if you recall last year, they were concrete barriers that had kind of a nice design on the outside. They were made at United Concrete over at Church Street in Yalesville. Public Works bought them last year, and Public Works was willing to buy them because they said when that whole outdoor dining experience was over, they had use for the blocks. So they did. They used the blocks. So now it's a matter of buying more blocks. And in a meeting that we had internal last week, Public Works Director Rob Boltramitis said that it may be a budget issue where he may not have the money for the blocks. I had said that if that became an issue, that I would bring it up to the Economic Development Commission, just that we could potentially buy the blocks. Rob says it's roughly $1,800 to buy the blocks if he does not find the money in his budget. And Hank, to answer your question, that money would come out of the promotional budget line item in economic development if the commission agrees. So, and I would strongly ask for your support if it comes to that, because frankly, I think it is a promotional effort. We're promoting downtown businesses. We're promoting businesses in Simpson Court to expand the experience, and we're promoting downtown Wallingford as a whole, or the Wallingford Town Center as a whole, because as we know, we became a destination for dining amidst COVID last year because of the outdoor dining experience. So, so Joe, maybe I'll stop there and just ask if anybody has any questions, concerns, and ask if there's general support
Actually,
for doing that.
I have a concern, Tim. I'm assuming this may come up before our next meeting. So I think I'd like to step forward and make a motion that we support purchasing the barriers at the approximate $1,800 if need be.
So,
Joe,
want to second that?
I'd like to have some discussion if you don't mind.
Okay,
That would be great.
Who would own be in possession of the barriers? Would it, I know the town does eventually because the town's money is being used, but is it under EDC, or once these barriers are removed a year or two from now, will they go to Public Works and be used in their purview?
So if in fact it came to the point where we bought them, then we would ask Public Works to store them so that we could reuse them in future summers. I'm hoping, or at least thinking, that outdoor dining in Simpson Court may be there for years to come. But we buy them, we own them, Mark.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's my point. I think that this is going to go on for some time, not only because of the pandemic. I just think it's a great thing for outdoor dining, and I think it'll help us economically, and those businesses economically. So if we can foster that, and we need those barriers, I'd hate to have to come back at this a year from now and ask for another $1,800 to figure out what's going on,
Right. And that would not be the case.
Super. Then that's the only question or discussion I had regarding it.
anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, Tim, I have a
Rob?
question, and this may not be appropriate for tonight's meeting, and it's just a little thought. When those barriers go up, I agree. I think that this will probably turn into an annual occurrence for many, many, many years. If I remember correctly, last year they were just cement barriers. There was no painting. They weren't beautified or anything. They were just cement barriers and Simpson Court. Am I correct on that?
Yes, some people put flowers on top of them and things like that, but because it was not, it was not the property of any business owner, I don't think they were allowed to dress them up or anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd like to pursue that at some point in time. If they're going to be up there for many, many years to come, we might want to consider calling some of the folks from town, from the art community, and see if we can make some really nice visual art on those barriers. But first we have to acquire them, I suppose.
Rob, that's a good point, because if we talk to Jonathan over at United, he has barriers. I'm not sure, they weren't the barriers that were put up this last time, but he has barriers that artistically are very nice. They have scenes on them. They're kind of like hunting scenes or,
Right.
wooded scenes that with a brook and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if we can call upon him to do something close to that, that would look really, really nice. And I hadn't thought about it until you mentioned it. I think it's a great idea.
I mean, if they're going to be out in Simpson Court for 6 months a year for the next 20 years, let's put a little aesthetic into it and it'll make it a lot more visibly appealing. And I think people will appreciate that. Yeah, great idea. That's a really good idea, Mark, for sure.
Kathy, you have something?
Yes, actually, I'd love to work with you on that. I'm expecting to have a vote tomorrow night on an art project we were going to do in May in Wallingford Center with school children. And I was going to reach out to you once I got the okay from my board to go ahead with that event.
Excellent.
So let's talk.
Excellent. Great
Thanks.
job. Yeah.
Yes, Hank.
I just wanted to make sure that we were going to be expending that under this year's budget.
That is
If
correct.
it
Hank.
happens, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, we have the money in this year's budget for sure.
Yeah, that's what I just want. I'm in full support. I just want to make sure it was in this year's budget. So I don't know if you need to amend your motion there or not.
Well, I made the motion to proceed if the availability comes up for him. So, that just gives him, okay, he doesn't have to wait till next month's meeting.
Okay.
If I may just add to the discussion, so as far as the longevity of outdoor dining, right now we're allowed to do it this year because of state legislation. We still, at some point, the premise is that state legislation may not carry that ball and that we may have to do some things on a local level. So, we've talked about the fact that, last year we had a 6-month, we were able to test drive outdoor dining for 6 months, which, it's almost unprecedented that you get to test drive initiatives like this. And we were able to do that and it worked out wonderfully. Well, so this year we test drive it for another 6 months. Let's hope the outcomes are the same. Let's hope all of a sudden we don't come across some reason that would give us pause or some issue. So, but I think, from my experience, and it certainly seems to be the opinion of the commission that, the outdoor dining experience has been very popular and we'd like to make sure that we can continue it. So we will think in terms of sustainability, but understand that absent a state executive order, next year, which I don't know that it'll still be there. Of course, this is legislation at this point. So, but it expires in 1 year. So it would have to be renewed or at some point pushed back to the municipality. So, so I have a tendency to say, I'm thinking about this year and let's hope we can continue it for future years for sure.
Okay. As far as the money coming out of this year's budget, I would think that if we had to purchase them, it would be in the next 30 days. Am I right?
Yes, I am, and Kathy and I have been pressing, saying, it's going to be 65 degrees tomorrow. I mean, every day that goes by now that there's it's nice outside, we're missing another opportunity. So I appreciate the comments about, getting some blocks that may have some sculpting on them and so forth. I mean, if we have to have those made and it takes a couple of months, then, we may want to say, just put something there so that people can get outside and get started. And then at this point, if it depends on who owns them. If Public Works owns them, then it was a great experience last year, but the blocks were not works of art, but it would be nice if they were. But if it would delay the process, I would. I mean, it's up to you folks, but I would opt to say whatever we can do sooner the better.
Yeah,
I think
I agree. Don't delay it if you don't have to, but he has already had those blocks made in the past. He may have some of those on site now. I'm only suggesting you ask him, but please don't delay it.
Yep, gotcha.
I fully agree. And in worst case scenario, if this turns into a long-term scenario, we can revisit it, and I'm sure we can exchange it. I'm sure we can exchange a non-decorative for a decorative in future years. So yeah, I agree, Tim, 100%. Nothing should be delayed because of that, for sure.
Okay, so again, I just want to clarify it. If we do have to purchase it, it would be from this month's budget. Do we need that as part of the motion, or is just assumed because it's got to be done within the next 30 days?
I think it should be part of this. It doesn't have to be part of the motion. Give Tim the flexibility, but we have the money in this year's budget. So let's do it out of this year's budget is my suggestion.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. With that, let's take we have it first, we have a second, we have the discussion. Let's take a vote before I go. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any? Okay, good. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your support. Appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you down there dining at some point. Joe, the last couple of things on my report I just wanted to pull out was the mayor did show full support of our 2021-22 budget as proposed. It was a level funded budget, as you all know, which was something that he had asked us to work on, and we did. So we do have the budget workshops coming up. So I know Mark, representing marketing, and Joe, you typically attend those budget sessions. So the first one, which is again in my report, a public hearing for the entire town budget scheduled for April the 12th. You don't necessarily have to attend that. I think in the past I've gone to that. That's where the chair of the town council will ask if there's any questions, any specific questions about any departmental budget, but every department, he sits there and reads them off. Anybody have any questions for EDC? Anybody have any questions for, department by department? If there's no questions in the last several years, there has not been, then we can leave the meeting. If there happens to be a question, then, I've got to hang back and address it when it's asked. The second date, which is April the 20th, is when we actually present our budget to the town council. We are second on the agenda that night. I forget who's in front of us, but that's when we would present our budget to the town council and the councilors would have the opportunity to ask any questions. All right, so I just leave that at that. Jim, I now understand where I spelt, I used the wrong wolf. So I see it in my report. My apologies. I will say that lastly, that Joe, myself, Kathy Lilly, and Frank DiCristina, who's the chairman of the board of the Quinnipiac Chamber, did meet with Ray Andrusen, who is the new executive director of the Quinnipiac Chamber, whose office is right over in Simpson Court on the second floor. So I think the chamber is in very good hands. Ray is a very polished professional, and I look forward to working with him on a go-forward basis. And let's see, and one other thing, and my apologies for being so long tonight, and that is that we have talked in these meetings about hiring a part-time person to assist in this office, where it would allow me to reduce my hours some, and we will be hiring an economic development marketing specialist. This position will focus on our social media channels. This is going to be, someone with digital marketing experience, amongst other things, responsibilities. But so that job description has been approved, and you'll see hopefully an ad before the week's out where we start looking to fill that position. So that, Mr. Chairman, is my report.
Very good. When you get a chance, let me know what time the April 12th meeting is. I may want to attend. I used to attend those.
They start at 6:30, Joe. It's regular council. 6:30 or 6 o'clock. I'll let you know.
Yeah, can you send the link out on that, Tim?
It's 6:30. I'm sorry, Jim.
Can you send the link out for that meeting? Can you email that to us?
Yep.
Okay. Chairman's report. Just want to go over a new or revised committee from the Hubcap. We started a small business committee, and what we're doing is we're going to be reaching out for the people looking to start businesses or have started with an 8-point program. And I'll email you a copy of the outline we're looking to do. I just want to make you aware of it. We are going to be addressing the needs of the small businesses to help them grow and pursue business in the town of Wallingford. And we'll also be keeping our pipeline programs going. So it should be very active down at Hubcap the rest of this year. Hopefully COVID will allow us to get back into the swing of things. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? If
Just,
not,
sorry, just for
yes.
future meetings, if you're on a Mac, you can't share your screen. There's certain operating systems on the Macs that you can't share your screen, because I can't share my screen, and he may have been on a Mac. So you might want to tell people before they come into our meetings.
Very good. Thank you.
Joe, when you ask for questions, are you talking about on that hubcap thing or in general?
Either way.
Okay. I just like to make a statement that as challenged as the mayor can be sometimes with social media, I have to tell you, because of this commission, he has been extremely supportive of our initiative, our marketing initiative with social media, and where we're trying to bring Wallingford into the forefront. And it's only because he has such faith, at least, and he's expressed that to me in the past, and I know he has to Tim. He has such faith in this commission and what this commission does. And I just want to let you guys know that, because it's very, very important that certainly we have his support. And I just want to let you know that so far we've had more than his support. He's been very good in that respect.
Well, I also think it has a lot to do with the way your committee and yourself has presented it to him. I mean, I think from sitting on the sidelines, you did not push it on him. You brought him along. You educated him. And he is an intelligent person, and he can see where the future is. And again, Mark, coming back to your original statement, he knows it's in capable hands. So between making him aware of the visions and knowing the capabilities of the staff that's running it, I can see where he would be real comfortable. And I thank you and your team for making that happen. Other
That's
than
all
that, I'm sorry, Mark.
I say that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Anything
Chairman,
else?
Yeah, Joe, quick question. Can you have, or I'm sorry, probably to Tim, can you send me the link for the marketing meeting that either you or Mark for the 12th to sit in on? And I invite obviously Rose and who's that other guy that's on our team there?
Anthony.
Anthony, if he could, yeah, if they want to sit in on that. I just want to see if we can get something to get some more ideas for retentions and incentives.
Hey, Tim, even though it's not mandatory for most people, why don't you just send it out? And that way, if somebody can join, they can join then. Just send it out to the commission.
You got it.
Good idea.
Mr.
I do
Chair,
the
if I
same
may-
thing.
Okay,
I do the same thing with the 2 budget meetings. If people
I-
want to sit in,
yep,
they'd
I'll
have
do
the
it.
option.
we'll get them both done. I'm looking at you, Stacy. Okay. So, Joe, I just, 2 things, if I may. First off, I know early in the meeting, you started off by welcoming Stacy. I will tell you that she is off to an absolutely fabulous start. I think we are in very capable hands. We had a little bit of a wet eye parting with Lynn on last week, when after 30 plus years, and she was so appreciative. By now, many of you, if not all of you, have probably received little thank you notes from Lynn, and she truly enjoyed her job, and we enjoyed the trust that we've had in Lynn all these years, and the great job that she's done. Tracy, however, Lynn took the extra time. She stayed 3 months longer than her scheduled retirement date after giving us 6 months notice. So I will never forget that about Lynn. But she spent extra time training Stacy and making sure that Stacy is up to speed. And in addition, has made Stacy very comfortable with, don't worry about picking up the phone and making a phone call. So that just shows the quality of the individual that Lynn is. And I know Stacy will fill those shoes nicely. So welcome aboard, Stacy. And then the government media, you can see the government media is involved. They record these meetings. And I don't know if Scott Hanley is behind that government media insignia tonight or not, and whether he cares to identify himself if it is. But I also just want to, from the commission standpoint, Scott is retiring after a very, very long and illustrious career with government TV. And I will again say that, boy, we are losing some really very great people to retirement. And I'm very happy for them, but it leaves voids. Scott, just class from the word go. Always classy, always willing to help, always there. So if he's listening behind that government media icon there, I just want to publicly say, Scott, it has been an absolute pleasure. You are a tried and true professional, and thank you for everything you've done for the town of Wallingford and certainly for the ADC. So that will end my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
It's Jim and Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
unanimous. I thank you all for your time and look forward to talking to you soon. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Good night.